What's up everyone, it's Blue here at Blue Bears Games, and today's video will be my upgrade guide for the Outlaws of Thunder Junction Desert Bloom Commander Precon. Before we get started, I'd like to take a moment to ask for your help in supporting my channel, which can be done in the following ways. Subscribing to the channel, sharing any of my content on your socials, watching some of my many other videos, purchasing super thanks, purchasing channel memberships, purchasing decks that you may have seen on this channel directly from me on the Blue Bears Games Facebook page, and/or visiting our sponsor at arcane-fortress.com and using discount code BLUEBEAR at checkout if you decide to purchase any of their amazing gaming supplies from them. Anything that you do will help support my channel immensely, and I thank you for it. Now that that is out of the way, let's get to today's video. For my guides, I start by showing you the cards that I would recommend removing first, and then I show you the cards that I would add back in that I believe will help make this deck either more fun to play a little better, or best case scenario, both. So, in the unboxing I had stated that I would be making a commander swap from Yuma to Hazazon, and that's what this guide will be based on. Luckily, the two creatures aren't all that dissimilar, so if you want to continue using Yuma instead, you should be able to do so with no real issues. Honestly, when you look at the name that they gave the deck, and then see what the deck is trying to do, I'm a little confused as to why this wasn't the case to begin with. Other than the fact that Hazazon was released in Dominaria United, I can't see any other reasons why. I showed you what it does in the unboxing video, but if you didn't watch the unboxing, need a refresher, or just plain don't know what it does, pause this video and read it real quick. As you can see, Hazazon's abilities are kinda similar to Yuma, but for a much lower mana cost. The biggest difference, aside from the power and toughness, are the way that they create their tokens. Yuma triggers when deserts go to the graveyard, while Hazazon's ability triggers like a landfall ability, which is far easier to abuse. That's the direction that this guide will go in, so let's get going, and I'll start by showing you what I would take out first. I would remove 2 plains, 1 mountain, 2 forests, Explore, Satyr Wayfinder, Genesis Hydra, Skullwinder, Nantuko Cultivator, World Shaper, Avenger of Zendikar, Angel of the Ruins, Unholy Heat, Heaven and Earth, Valeris Stance, Savine's Reclamation, Marshall's Anthem, and Perpetual Timepiece. That's 19 cards in total that I recommend taking out. The lands that I suggested removing are to make way for more deserts, of course, and the rest are to make room for cards that either synergize more with Hazazon or have better landfall payoffs. I believe I mentioned in the unboxing video of this precon that I'm going to be making a budget deck with Hazazon as the commander in the near future. I mention this because doing this guide gave me some insight into some of the cards that could really make this deck a blast to play, and I'm really excited to show you what I came up with, so let me show you what cards I would add back in now. I'll start this off by showing you the lands. Normally, I try not to mess with the lands a whole lot, but for this deck, it was needed. There are 7 in total that I felt were necessary, and 6 of them have the desert subtype. The first 3 are Desert, Survivor's Encampment, and Arid Archway. The Desert and the Encampment are mostly because they are deserts, but the extra abilities that they have could come in handy. The Archway, on the other hand, has combo potential, which I'll talk about in a little bit. The next 3 lands are Cradle of the Accursed, Grasping Dunes, and Lazotep Quarry. All 3 of these have either a self-sacrifice or a sacrifice another desert ability for some type of benefit, which is exactly what Hazazon needs to run correctly. While all of the benefits that these 3 provide may not be optimal, they could prove useful in different situations, especially the Cradles. The last land that I would add is Gemstone Mine. I wanted to add an additional land to the deck that was able to add mana of any color, but monetarily, most of them are pricey. The mine is monetarily cheap, but it also fits the theme well thanks to its quote-unquote negative ability that makes you sacrifice it. I mean, the whole premise of the deck is to play and sacrifice lands, so this is actually a great choice for this new direction, even though it's not a desert. Next, I want to show you 4 creatures that should help with this deck's new direction. The first 2 are Elvish Reclaimer and Knight of the Reliquary. Both of these have a similar ability that lets you sacrifice a land to go search for a land card. That's a very important distinction to know. It's a land card, not a basic land or a land of a specific type. It's any land card. This is almost the only way that you'll be able to search for those important deserts that you'll need. The third creature is Dryad of the Elysian Grove. This helps provide mana fixing and the very important ability to play an additional land per turn. I attempted to add a few cards that allow you to play an extra land per turn, but I wasn't able to make room for all of them. So I'll advise that if you find that you need more of this ability, you may be able to get away with removing another basic land to add something like Mina and Den Wildborn. And the last creature that I'll recommend adding for this section is Emeria Angel. Obviously, landfall is a natural ability to pair with this theme, and while there are a couple of things already in this deck that do what this does specifically, none of them create flying creatures, which is a weakness for this build. This card should help fill that gap, assuming you actually can get to it. Moving on, the largest section of cards I'll recommend adding is the enchantments, with a whopping 7 in total. The first 3 I'll show you deal with lands specifically. They are Druid Class, Case of the Locked Hothouse, and Spelunking. The class and the case both allow for extra land drops, which are essential for this build. Spelunking makes it so that lands that would enter the battlefield tapped now enter untapped, which is a good portion of the lands in this deck. The next 2 enchantments deal with the token-making aspect of the deck. They are Goblin Trenches and Desert Warfare. Goblin Trenches is a sack outlet for lands that can be used multiple times in a turn to create a bunch of creature tokens. Desert Warfare synergizes really well with the Goblin Trenches because if the land that you sacrificed was a desert, you can get that back for free. Oh, and it can also create a lot of creature tokens for you if you happen to control a bunch of deserts at the beginning of combat on your turn. And the last 2 enchantments give you an alternate way to win that synergizes well with the token-making aspect of this deck. They are Impact Tremors and War Leader's Call. With these 2 enchantments out, creating all of those tokens now becomes very deadly without even having to attack with them. And finally, the last thing that I want to go over is a combo for this deck that really fits the theme. It uses Kodama of the East Tree, Arid Archway, and any card with landfall that results in the creation of a creature token like Scooch Swarm or Emeria Angel. How this works is a little more complicated because of how Kodama's ability works, but if you click on the link at the top of your screen, it will take you to a somewhat simplified explanation of how. When done correctly, it will result in infinite enters the battlefield triggers, infinite creature tokens, and infinite landfall triggers. I liked that this combo revolved around lands and landfall triggers involving a desert, so that's why I chose it. And that, my friends, is my upgrade guide for the Outlaws of Thunder Junction Desert Bloom Commander Precon. While everything that I just showed you won't make this precon a top-tier deck, it will absolutely make this a very fun and unique deck to play. I love that this deck has a commonly used theme with a unique twist. I mentioned that I want to build a Hazazon deck on a budget and make it available on the Blueberries Games Facebook page, and I'm hoping to do that very soon. In total, all 19 cards that I just recommended would cost around $47, which isn't bad considering that cards like Crucible of the Worlds and the white token doublers can cost almost as much as that by themselves. Honestly, for that little amount of money, you can turn this into one of the most fun precons Wizards has ever made. So, what do you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts on all the changes that I just recommended in the comments. Well, my friends, that's all I've got for you this week. Thanks for watching, and if you're looking for more Magic content to watch, please browse through my channel as I'm sure you'll find more of my videos that you'll enjoy. Before you head off though, please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet so you can be notified when I release new content, which I do every Friday. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you all next week where I'll be doing this all over again for the next Outlaws of Thunder Junction precon.